In September 2018, the Akron Police Department received a troubling call about a missing woman named Martha Robin Freitag. For weeks, her family hadn't heard from her, and concern was mounting. Her daughter, Kim Freitag, was especially alarmed. Kim insisted that something was wrong, urging officers to break into her mother's house to search for answers. What Kim could not have imagined was that she was standing just a few yards away from a horrifying secret, one buried in her mother's own backyard, waiting to be uncovered. The initial search. When police first arrived at Martha's home, they found no immediate signs of trouble. Everything inside appeared normal, giving the impression that Martha may have simply left voluntarily. Officers were reluctant to treat the case as urgent. But Kim insisted otherwise. She explained that her mother lived with her longtime boyfriend, David Callahan, a man known to be abusive. Martha also struggled with mental health issues, which made the situation even more complex. Was she hospitalized? Had she wandered off? Or was something more sinister at play? Despite Kim's concerns, police initially leaned toward the possibility that Martha had simply left on her own. Friends claimed they had exchanged text messages with her only weeks earlier. Still, officers agreed to enter the house. Nothing seemed disturbed, so they left, believing Martha might eventually resurface. But days turned into weeks, and still no one heard from her. A suspicious boyfriend. When police returned for a second visit, they found David Callahan at the home. Detectives had already heard troubling stories about him. Yet David downplayed everything. He claimed he and Martha had separated and that she was likely staying with another boyfriend. The explanation was confusing and suspicious. David couldn't provide a name, address, or any details about this supposed new partner. He contradicted himself repeatedly. At times, he insisted Martha still lived with him. At others, he claimed she had moved out entirely. Investigators also noticed inconsistencies about finances. David admitted Martha's name was still on the house and that she received Social Security payments, but he became evasive when asked who had been cashing her checks. Though David's story seemed thin, police lacked evidence to charge him. Still, they noted his behavior and kept a close watch. Messages from the missing. As the weeks dragged on, Kim reported something disturbing, text messages supposedly sent by her mother. But the wording, spelling, and tone were completely different from Martha's usual style. The text said Martha was angry with her family and no longer wanted contact. At first glance, they looked like excuses from a woman who wanted to disappear. But Kim didn't believe it. She suspected someone else was sending those messages, pretending to be Martha. That suspicion deepened when detectives realized David might have been behind the texts. Perhaps there was no mysterious, other boyfriend, after all. Mounting doubts. Detectives brought David in for questioning. He admitted he and Martha often fought and that she had once filed a restraining order against him. In fact, during her last 911 call, Martha had told officers she feared David, reminding them of that restraining order. During interrogation, David tried to paint himself as the victim of a difficult relationship. He claimed Martha was schizophrenic, often unstable, and frequently accused him of cheating. He suggested she had run off to Florida or relapsed into drug use. But detectives noticed his answers were inconsistent. He claimed to have spoken to Martha just days earlier, then changed his story to say he hadn't seen her for weeks. He admitted writing money orders in her name, forging her signature, and using her accounts, all while insisting she was still alive. The more David talked, the less believable he became. A neighbor's call. The case took a chilling turn when a neighbor called police. He reported strange activity in Martha's backyard. He had seen David burning large fires late at night, sometimes for days in a row. The smell was foul and unusual, not like wood or trash. Around the same time, Martha vanished. Detectives immediately returned to the property. This time, they focused on the backyard. What they found would confirm the family's worst fears. A horrifying discovery. In a fire pit behind the house, investigators uncovered charred human remains. DNA testing confirmed the unimaginable. It was Martha Robin Freitag. She had been brutally murdered, her body burned in an attempt to conceal the crime. The discovery devastated Kim and the rest of Martha's family. After weeks of pleading with police to take her fears seriously, the truth was finally unearthed. The confession. Back in the interrogation room, detectives confronted David with the evidence. At first, he denied everything. But slowly, under pressure, he broke. David admitted that he and Martha had argued violently. She had accused him of cheating again, and in a fit of rage, he snapped. Grabbing a half-axe handle that Martha kept by her bed for protection, he struck her multiple times. Then he choked her until she was dead. Panicked, he dragged her body to the backyard, buried her in a shallow grave, and later attempted to destroy the evidence by burning her remains. Through tears, David claimed he didn't mean to do it, describing Martha as relentless and saying she wouldn't leave him alone. But his words rang hollow against the brutality of his actions. Justice. In 2019, David Callahan pled guilty to murder, tampering with evidence, abuse of a corpse, and domestic violence. He was sentenced to life in prison, with the possibility of parole after 18 years. For Kim, the sentence brought a measure of justice but little comfort. The loss of her mother was permanent, and the betrayal cut deep. The very man Martha lived with, the man she should have been safest with, had stolen her life in the most horrific way. A lasting shadow. The case of Martha Robin Freitag is a chilling reminder of how domestic violence can escalate into tragedy. For months, her daughter fought to have her voice heard. For weeks, officers stood just yards away from the truth. And in the end, the horrifying secret was uncovered only after it was far too late. Martha's absence remains a painful void in her family's life, a reminder not only of a woman stolen too soon, but of the warnings that should never have been ignored.